What I want to do in the next few minutes is look at the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, and I want to look at it through the employee's eyes and what is your rights. So that's the whole game plan. I do a separate one on what is the employer's rights. And I just want to say up front, we need to learn how to integrate in the rules for the hard times we're going through. So what I want to first do is you got to realize as an employee, you're used to having sick leave. This discussion does not impact whatever your company's sick leave policies are. This is an addition to it. And so there's going to be two different ways you're going to qualify for sick leave related to the coronavirus. So I'm going to split it down into two definitions. One is the fact that it's just a sick leave. It's a paid sick leave. So in addition to what your employer has provided, if the employer's got a post in an obvious place about this law, and you can go to the employer and say, I got a condition. And so let's go through and separate those conditions, because number one is whenever I talk about paid sick leave, you get 2 additional weeks up to 80 hours if you are quarantined or you have the symptoms and seeking medical diagnostics. So I'm going to stop there. The first way is you qualify is under the paid sick leave and you're quarantined or you have the symptoms and seeking diagnostics. 2 weeks, full pay, up to 80 hours. The second sick leave, paid sick leave, is that you get 2/3 of your pay up to 80 hours if, one, you're taking care of somebody that is quarantined, you have a child under the age of 18, that the school's closed, or the provider, the child care provider, is not available related to the COVID-19, and certain exceptions if there is what the law says, substantially similar conditions, and that'll be defined by Health and Human Services down the road. Point in time, that's the 2 ways to qualify for a 2-week up to 80-hour sick leave. Now, the other term we need to look at is what I call the expanded family and medical leave. And what that does is, in addition to the 2 weeks, you can qualify up to an additional 10 weeks. Now, in that 10-week reporting, you have to work for the employer at least 30 days. Just the regular paid sick leave for the 2 weeks I talked about, you just have to be an employee. Now, if you're going to go into the expanded sick leave, then you're going to have to worry about if you're caring for a child, again, because of school closure, there's not a child provider there. And in doing that, or other related coronavirus items, you would go to your employer and say, I want to have this expanded family and medical leave, but at that point in time, waiting on regulations to come out, but they're going to have what you have to document to prove that you do qualify for the 10 weeks. And what happens is that the employer can have you be requiring you each week or each period to prove up why you qualify. And here's the reason why, is because you have to give them a reason why that qualifies you. They have to then keep that documentation, because it may be for a credit they may qualify, it may be for an IRS audit, but they're responsible for continuing reviewing whether or not you qualify. And that's based on your documentation. But they no way can say no to you. I think that is real important. And again, you have to separate paid sick leave, that's 2 weeks. Again, if you have it or symptoms of it in medical, you get 2 weeks at 100% pay. That's why you hear on TV, we'll give them 2 weeks pay. Well, there's also tax credits related to that. And then finally, for the 10 additional weeks is, again, under the expanded family medical leave, and there you qualify for 2/3 pay, but you have to document why and continuously document. In the Q&A, the reason I'm going to answer a lot of questions, because I'm a practitioner, I've been getting a lot of questions, and I think to go more into the detail, I'm going to be talking in the Q&A on what happens if the company shut down before this went into effect. This goes into effect on April 1st, and it continues through December 31st of this year. So this qualification you can qualify and then go back to work, and then you can re-qualify and go back to work. So this is very interactive. The other thing I got to say, and this is really key, is that it's really important that you, the employee, and the employer work together on this. This is to help out in a time of crisis. And what happens is, I'll give you an example. Right now, I have an employee that they get their children certain days throughout the month, and their ex gets certain days. Well, half the time one of them, half the time the other. Well, because the employee and I have come to an agreement, we've taken a calendar, and they're going to be able to get their 40 hours a weekend, and we're working around the child, because this employee says, I want to work, I've got clients, but I want to be with my children. And so what happens is we're able to make an agreement on scheduling hours that work around. It's not a normal 40-hour week. And in doing so, I think that makes a good relationship. So I'm already going through this with employees. The other thing is that in the Q&A, we're going to look at what happens if your employer offers telework. Because if they offer telework, we're going to look at it's very hard to qualify for this dealing with the child, because then you can work from home. They're going to be different than if you have to work on the job site. So again, I don't want this to be too long. I want to overview it. So, if I've answered your questions or got your curiosity, to go over into the Q&A. So hopefully I'll see you over in the Q&A.